Flex your business with an American Express Business Gold Card. You'll earn 4 times membership rewards points on your top 2 eligible spending categories, like transit and electronics, each month, on up to $150K in combined purchases per year. Plus, you can now earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold, built for business by American Express.
Moms, tired of overthinking every decision around what's best for your kids? Stop. Get Smarty Pants vitamins and worry about one less thing. Smarty Pants Kids Multi and Omegas support kids' overall health with 16 daily nutrients, including vitamin C for immune support and D3 for bone health. That's 45% more nutrients than the leading kids multi-gummy brand. Seems like a no-brainer, right? Get Smarty Pants on Amazon today.
Be honest. When's the last time you had a homemade meal? We get it. Between meetings, workout classes, and the kids' after-school sports, who's got time to cook? That's where HelloFresh comes in. No matter how busy you get, HelloFresh has everything you need to get an easy, home-cooked meal on the table. With flavor-packed recipes like Parmesan herb-crusted salmon, you'll be filling your kitchen with the cozy aromas of a homemade meal in no time. So go ahead, try HelloFresh. It's homemade, made easy. Learn more at HelloFresh.com.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
I knew it. Another Hurrdat Media production.
Hi, Chantel.
Hey, Roxanne.
You guys, it is freezing in Michigan right now.
So much that, like, didn't your kid's school get canceled?
Yeah, like, remember when we had to wake up in the middle of the night to find out if school was canceled? Well, they tell us literally at 2:00. And so they hit us up and they said that school would be closed Tuesday and Wednesday. And I was like, oh my gosh, how do working moms do it? How are we supposed to do it? I just don't understand. I feel like life, it's made to be impossible for moms. Like, I still don't understand. And then I was like, whatever, at least Jack and Elle's Montessori will be open. And they're kind of the harder ones just because they're younger. And all of a sudden, because the Montessori usually never closes, and they text us and they're like, hey, no school tomorrow. And I'm like, oh my gosh, ay, por favor, what are we going to do?
It's going to be, you guys, it's supposed to be like 1 degree, but then like, I think like what it feels like in the wind chill is going to be like negative something. And I'm just so annoyed that like we have work.
I know. How are you feeling about the Lions? Did we already talk about this?
No, we haven't. You guys, I am so devastated. Like, again, you guys know my husband and I have season tickets. Well, he's the season ticket holder, but we're married now. So yours is mine. And we went to the game. We go to pretty much like all of them. Some of them will sell. It was the most like gut-wrenching feeling, you guys, like knowing there was like 10 minutes left and we're just like, there's no way we're coming back. He played like shit. Okay.
Who
Jared
played
Goff,
like shit? Oh,
Jared
okay.
Goff, our quarterback. Also, our defensive coordinator coach did the dumbest call that costed us the game. And yeah, it was really, honestly, a lot of it was Jared Goff's fault. Like, he threw like Rexing like 4 interceptions, probably 5. And that's like the worst thing you can do. And he was not on his A game. I don't know what was wrong with him. And yeah, he costed us the game right there.
Did you see Dan Campbell crying after saying it's my fault?
Yeah, I mean that's how I wanted to cry too. It was just so devastating because we worked so hard and we did such a good season that, you know, this is when it matters. Like, what was that all for? You know, for nothing. Like, you want to be in the Super Bowl. You want to win the Super Bowl. We've never been there. I think like we won it in like 1950. Like, we're craving it so bad. So it's like, what the hell? This is our year.
So how come I always see that the Chiefs get away with everything?
Yeah, they do, because they do. They like favorite. Okay,
So is football corrupt, you guys?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100% it is, especially with like the money now, like 1000% corrupt. You know, what's crazy, Rexon, is that Jared Goff got hit in the head. So they like took him out of the game, which was nuts. Like we were all going crazy because like, what the heck? They thought maybe he had a concussion, so they'll check him. If any other quarterback, especially Mahomes from KC, if he ever got hit, they would have stopped the whole game. Okay. They would have done like 10 fouls or like whatever and like made it the biggest deal, and they didn't do shit for us. They didn't even stop the game. They didn't even do a foul, nothing. Like they didn't care. And then he just came back, like, and you probably guarantee he had a concussion and he just played.
Has anyone ever questioned the NFL for their treatment towards the Chiefs? Like any or no? Because I mean, I only see clips on TikTok where everyone's going crazy over things that they've allowed, the refs and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, like it's hard because it's different refs, different things. So I don't think they sit there and like really make them want to win. Like they are a good team at the end of the day, but I do think that they give them a little bit they give them treatment, like or like Mahomes and like the team, they're such babies. Anytime something happens, they right away like they pretend like they got so much like way more hurt to make it like it's a big deal. Like they're such crybabies.
I keep hearing you mention Mahomes. How come no mention of Travis Kelce?
Well, because Mahomes is the quarterback, and it's really the quarterback that spears everything.
Or because I thought you were trying to favor Travis Kelce because of Taylor Swift, and we all know you're a Swiftie. So
yeah, I mean, he's good. I mean, he comes alive during the playoffs. Like he sucked this season, but then like the last game he played good.
So I saw this TikTok before TikTok ended, and then it came back, and they were like, before I end TikTok, I just want to say these are the celebrities I can't stand. And you know, this woman who's on TikTok, she's like on her like us, like cancel celebrity culture. And she was like going through a list, and she's like, I cannot stand the damn Kelce's. She's like, I've never met hungrier, thirsty people for attention. And I was just dying that she said that, because I just thought about how Travis and his brother do a podcast, and then his sister-in-law now has a podcast, and they all got huge because of Taylor Swift, even though they were obviously Travis Kelce was always, and so was his brother, pretty big, but I'm talking about in the podcast world. But
still, no, Rexine, even so the owners of the Chiefs, okay, the daughter, so she's like the dad owns it, and she's a daughter, so she's on there. She went on a People magazine interview, and she said that Taylor Swift made their ticket prices go up 40% in demand. That is crazy. We're talking about football here. 40%.
Right. I believe it.
Like, and like she really like has turned that fandom around. It's nuts. Like no one gives a shit. Now people like buy tickets because they want to see her.
Yeah, no, I believe that. But it was so funny because she was just basically, this person was talking so much shit about every celebrity and basically any celebrity that you and I would think to like that it's like go scratch. And then Stassi comments on it, and she's like, okay, I can't agree with all of them, but this is so hilarious. And I thought it was so funny. But so you guys, speaking of Taylor Swift, so she was in this lawsuit that Justin Baldoni filed against Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively for $400 million. Her name was, it's not like he spoke about her. Her name was in a text message that he put out there, and everyone was going crazy, and everyone was asking us, what does Chantel think? So we're going to actually go over, you guys loved our deep dives. We're going to go over Chantel. I feel like is going to be more into it because she saw that you guys were really into it too. And we're going to go over.
I do want to tell you guys, I watched one video of this, like of the lawsuit, and it was like this girl explaining, and I hope you have this text message. There was like a particular text message. Okay. Yeah. And I was shook. So yeah, I hope you go over and I'll give you my thoughts on it. And if you're not, I'll bring it up too.
Yeah, I think we'll go over, because I think we're going over all the text that he put out there. So what do you think about him suing for $400 million, by the way?
I don't know the money stuff. So it's like, what does that mean? Do they do it because like they might settle for less, or like it's like you have to put it out that like that much? Like I don't really know. Like why that much money?
Okay.
What do you think? Like I don't
know. I was just yeah, I just was like, holy, I feel like you're not going to do that unless like you have a case and you're trying to shit on them, because it's like, and you know, even the way he starts off his lawsuit, like we'll go over things that he said and then summarize some of the things. But so this is, and we talked about this on our last one. So he starts off his lawsuit, and it's so interesting. If you were like,
I have a question. Yeah.
Okay,
the lawsuit was 100 and how many pages?
It was 180 pages.
Is this like lawyers? Is this typical? Like, is this usually how like long these lawsuits are?
I don't think so, to be honest, but I
Here's
mean,
your husband. Let's text him.
I know, right? You should text him and ask him because I mean, hers was 70 pages. His to the New York Times was like 80 pages. And then now this one's 180 pages. But I think because he just, needed to respond to a lot of the things. So even the way he starts off his lawsuit is so crazy. And he just says, the following is not a story that Justin Baldoni ever wished to tell. Unfortunately, Blake Lively has left them with no choice, not only to set the record straight in response to Lively's accusations, but also to put the spotlight on the parts of Hollywood that they have dedicated their careers to being the antithesis of. And I definitely said that wrong, so I don't even know what that means, you guys, but it says that task was always going to be an uphill battle. They never imagined they would ever encounter it to this degree. Had Lively chosen to merely ride out the self-inflicted press she faced in August 2024, the public would likely have moved on and never known the truth about her. They would have never known that she deliberately robbed Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios of their movie. No one except the parties involved would have known that she used threats and extortion to relegate the colleagues she once highly praised to a basement to sit at their own premiere while she enjoyed the spotlight of a premiere and after party that was ultimately co-financed by Justin Baldoni's company and Sony. She would have gotten away with these things and more because Baldoni focused entirely on seeing the film succeed, would have held his tongue as he had through the year and a half that Lively tormented him, his family, and his partners. And we did talk about that quite a bit, Chantal, that, the saddest part about the whole thing with Justin is that he was going to allow this to go away. It's not like he was like, you know what? That was such a shitty experience. Justice. I need justice. I was so mistreated. He was going to let her get away with it.
So crazy.
Another interesting thing that I heard, by the way, and this is just a side note, is that Scarlett Johansson is apparently, I don't know if she's directing a movie, but she's doing something where Justin Baldoni is the executive producer or something. And people are saying that definitely triggered Blake Lively because I don't know if you guys know this, but when Ryan Reynolds was married to Scarlett Johansson, he started filming Green Lantern, which starred Blake Lively. And if you go back to their interviews, they're all touchy and all this stuff and very flirtatious. You could totally tell there's chemistry. They really like each other. And Ryan Reynolds was married to Scarlett Johansson during this.
Like, what are the odds, though, that would happen?
I know. And I just wish that these type of people could speak out. Like we hear about how Blake Lively was towards Leighton Meester from Gossip Girl. We hear about the Scarlett Johansson stuff and that Scarlett Johansson cannot stand her. And it's like, I would love to hear their side.
That'd be our dream to get like an interview of that.
I know, it really would be. Well, so Justin says that Blake...
Real quick, because I did ask her husband, and he said, depends on the kind of lawsuit. Typically for defamation, no. He said most of it is exhibits, though. Not actual lawsuit itself, but the attachment to the lawsuit. So yeah, it's typical to have that many exhibits. I haven't seen his lawsuit, but I assume it's mostly exhibits.
Okay, wow. Thank you.
He said, tell my wife, don't be scared to text me.
Oh my God. Well, I tell him I'm talking, so that's why. Justin says that Blake hijacked the film, destroyed personal and professional reputations, and aimed to drive Justin out of business. He also says that Blake worked with New York Times for months to prepare a false and damaging narrative to deploy against plaintiffs. He then talks about how she prepared a complaint with the Civil Rights Department and made sure it would be leaked right before Christmas. And he says she got a lot of backlash for not filing an actual lawsuits since the claims were so serious. And he said, quote, on information and belief, Lively never intended to file a civil lawsuit, which would have triggered plaintiffs' right to discovery, including obtaining evidence, and then they would have to depose Lively under oath. By the time Lively actually filed a lawsuit against plaintiffs, the damage to plaintiffs was done by virtue of Lively's months of colliding with the New York Times on a false and malicious narrative. Unshielded by any privilege, make no mistakes, these actions were deliberate. And so we're going to go to page 4 and read section 8 and 9. I told you guys that I'm going to read all these sections and I have notes for that. But it says, when Lively faced significant public backlash from what was often referred to as her tone-deaf and insensitive press tour for the film, she doubled down on her false and misleading accusations against Justin. She seemed determined to make Baldoni the real-life villain in her story. And her publicist, Leslie Sloan, who previously worked with Harvey Weinstein, went so far as to oh my gosh, I hate when I say propagate malicious stories portraying Baldoni as a sexual predator, a term Lively's husband, Ryan Reynolds, also used to describe Baldoni when he called Baldoni's own agent. Modern society just reviles sexual harassers and abusers, and Lively knew full well that making those allegations would be a career death sentence for Justin Baldoni, especially given that Justin has lived his private life and public life as an advocate for gender equality and healthy masculinity. She did not expect, however, that plaintiffs would be able to meet those allegations with concrete documentary evidence, disproving her claims and demonstrating that they, not Lively, were the targets of a calculated smear campaign. That evidence included in part is the basis for plaintiffs' claims against defendants for their defamation and further wrongdoings. The film was the hotly anticipated adaptation of a worldwide best-selling book by Colleen Hoover, and starring in it was Lily. Lively stood to enhance her already considerable star power, but she was not content to headline one of the biggest movies ever. Instead, apparently driven by overweening ambition and a need for control, Lively eventually leveraged her power as a wealthy celebrity to wrest the reins for her co-stars and the film's director, Justin, insisting on total control over every aspect of the film she got her hands on, from the wardrobe to marketing to the music to even creating her own cut of the film. Not only did Lively's power play cost numerous people their jobs, but at every turn, her wrong-headed creative decisions reflected her fundamental lack of understanding of the book the film was based on. This came as no surprise to her worried colleagues, given that even well into production, Blake had not read the book. Are we surprised that Blake had not read the book?
Yeah, like, I mean, but like, is that typical? Do you think like a lot of these celebrities wouldn't?
No,
but like, why would they cast
not at all? I don't think that's typical at all. I think that I think that these people are artists at the end of the day, or they look at what they do as art. And when they go into a film, like Timothy Shelm, whatever his last name is, he's an incredible actor. He was just saying, he was like, they were asking about, you know, a weird experience. He's like, dude, I worked with someone who literally was so involved in his character that he didn't shower. So every day for 2 months, he came in and he's like, he smelled so badly. And he's like, and him and his wife loved each other. They loved up on each other, but he really wanted to take his role seriously. So people take their characters so seriously to the point that they don't even know how to turn it off sometimes. And she didn't even read a book, but she wants to make all these suggestions for something she didn't read.
Wow.
And
wow.
Yeah. We see a text message on September 14th, 2023. This is a text from Justin Baldoni to Heath, and it says, you know, we're rooting to see her fulfilled, but after rereading the book, which had 150 pages to build their relationship, we have combined scenes to heighten the stake for Ryle in pursuit of Lily utilizing humor and his desire to sleep with her. While I understand Blake's reason for not wanting to read the book does a very good job in getting in Lily's mind during her interactions with Ryle and setting up the why behind her attraction to him, which ultimately just helps us understand why she stays in the end. So this is him, you know, venting to what'd you say?
I said with proof too. Like,
yeah,
text message claiming that she didn't read the book.
Yes, exactly. And he says Lively later claimed she read the book, but text evidence shows that well into production, she had not, and in fact expressed she had chosen not to read the book. She even tried to Google the color of her character's hair rather than pick up the book.
We're so done with new year, new you. This year, it's more you on Bumble. More of you shamelessly sending playlists, especially that one filled with show tunes. More of you finding Geminis because you know you always like them. More of you dating with intention because you know what you want. And you know what? We love that for you. Someone else will too. Be more you this year and find them on Bumble.
No way.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy because I have so much I have nice hair and I have a hairline.
I know. Well, yeah, exactly. So she was just, I don't know why she was like,
I feel like things like this are just showing that she like didn't care. You know, this is like proving that she didn't care.
But what she was trying to do on set was act like she cared. She was trying to take over it. So it just didn't make sense at all. And her hair looked so bad I don't know, like her hair looked like a frizz machine. And a lot of people said that's not how we pictured her hair to look. And it was weird because like Blake wanted her hair to look like that. And it was like, why? It was so freaking weird that she just thought that everything she was doing was the way it should be, but she, again, didn't even read the book. So it says, sadly, the backlash that Blake could have been avoided had she not refused to meet with the film's domestic violence partner organization, nomore.org, as Baldoni had offered. So she even said she didn't want to meet with the DV partner. I mean, why would you not want to meet them? This was like all a joke to her. She doesn't care about this.
It goes to show that she didn't care about this. It goes to show that they kept trying with her. And it just, at this point, it's
she
like, why would she
recognition? Yeah, I think she just wanted the recognition. She just wanted to say that she was able to do that. And again, it brings me back to, people were comparing on TikTok that Scarlett Johansson has that PGA that we were talking about, that PGA mark that, Blake said that she needed to get, and that she fought and said that this partnership would be over if Justin Baldoni didn't, sign something for her to get it. And they said that Scarlett Johansson has it. And that could have been a reason also why she was pushing to get it. I think she wants to be taken way more serious, but she's like a C-list actress. I don't know. I think
a lot of people don't even know her. And if they do know her, it's because of like Ryan. And we know her because we watched, obviously, Gossip Girl growing up. A lot of people don't even know who she is.
Yeah. They say even a brief visit to their website or a simple online search would have uncovered this and other information on the topic of domestic violence. Because at this point, they're talking about the backlash that she got from her own wrongdoing of how she was reacting to questions in regards to the domestic violence. And then it says, meanwhile, Baldoni, whom Lively herself had ensured was excluded from participating in the marketing efforts, was safeguarded from his backlash as he focused on amplifying the voices of those who were affected by domestic violence, as originally intended when he reached out to author Colleen Hoover 5 years earlier and documented by his partnership with nomore.org dating back to 2022. And it says Baldoni's sincere efforts were well received, even more so in contrast with Lively's campaign to downplay the premise of the film and sell hair care and alcohol products. Well, basically what they're trying to say is that she is so upset about the backlash, but again, this was all her doing because 100%. This is what she chose to focus on. And it does make me so upset because we're going to see this. We're going to actually, we'll wait to talk about this because it's with Colleen Hoover. And honestly, if anyone needs to be canceled out of everyone, it's Colleen Hoover, because the fact that the only time she has spoken up is when Blake Lively, had her complaint that she put out and she chose to unfollow Justin after having a 5-year relationship with him. There is no one else who deserves to be canceled like her. So her next book with Anne Hathaway needs to go.
But no, because it's going to be so good.
I don't know. I don't care.
I wonder what she really is actually thinking.
Yeah. I mean, she got excited by Blake Lively.
Like she was seeing both, like she was there for it.
I don't think that she was. I think that she knew Justin for a couple of years and had a solid relationship. And then when Blake came in, and we'll hear more about her manipulative ways, Colleen kind of separated herself from Justin and then was close with Blake. So was only hearing Blake's side because Justin wasn't telling his side to anybody.
Yeah, because like he was trying to remain professional, keep it going, not make it a big deal. He just wanted the movie to come out.
Yeah. And then it says her increasingly erratic behavior had driven away not only high-profile clients, but also her right-hand woman plaintiff, Jennifer Abel, who oversaw the Jones Work Los Angeles office. Jones' behavior grew more and more bizarre as she lashed out at loyal clients. And this is just like another PR person. I just don't even care to talk about the PR people, though. I don't know about you, but it's because at the end of the day, they both did stuff with PR and we both saw that. But of course, like the bad stuff was that Blake lied about what her involvement with PR was. Whereas, and he was like, let me show you what we did. And here's the truth of the stuff that she, took out or whatever.
Yeah.
It says, though Lively claimed Baldoni was the one smearing her, the reality is that it was Lively and her team who carefully planned and implemented a vile smear campaign against Baldoni and Wayfair to deflect attention and blame for Lively's disastrous misjudgment. Lively would recast herself as the long-suffering matriarch by portraying Baldoni and Wayfair as her persecutors, the masterminds behind a smear campaign that evidence will show did not exist. And I think most people know this. I mean, because the internet is the internet. The internet is going to do what they want. And the internet was the one finding the videos. It wasn't Justin Baldoni feeding this to bots or anything.
No.
It says shortly after the film's premiere and the public backlash against Blake together with her husband, Ryan, demanded through their talent agency, which also represented Wayfair and Baldoni, that plaintiffs publicly apologize for so-called mistakes during production in order to deflect the avalanche of negative media coverage of Blake. Reynolds and Blake drafted a statement and demanded that Justin, Wayfarer, and Heath issue that statement, requiring them to apologize to the public and fall on their sword despite having done nothing wrong, or else, quote, the gloves would come off.
Wait, that is actually crazy because so like if they were to apologize, then what? You wouldn't have filed a lawsuit of sexual harassment?
But even if they were to apologize and take the blame and say, we didn't prepare her enough to how to respond to these questions, she would still, she's not reading the room. She would still get shitted on and being like, why are they the ones apologizing? Like, we're seeing them respond to this domestic violence stuff. And then we're seeing how you respond. Why would they be the ones who apologize for that?
It was the only person that you need to blame is yourself and your PR team for not telling you like what the book was about, or like, even if you saw after one interview, like you could have adjusted the way that you talked, but you kept doubling down and keep going crazy, like kept going.
It says multiple executives acknowledge that in their experience, Blake and Ryan's threats were not to be taken lightly, though admitting to false, vague, and unspecified mistakes would be admitting to career-ending misconduct. Justin, Wayfarer, and Heath refused to apologize for sins they had never committed. They took a stand knowing full well that Blake and Ryan would bring the full might of their celebrity against them, and that is precisely what happened. Blake, working with her husband, her publicist, and Jones, among others, set out on a campaign to get Justin to try to expose Justin. And then they talk about, again, all the stuff. And they say they advance a fabricated narrative in the press that plaintiffs had sexually harassed Blake, then embarked on a calculated and malicious smear campaign to destroy her reputation as retaliation for daring to complain about the harassment. Defendants laid their trap carefully over a period of months before springing it all at once on the eve of winter holidays. Just as plainly, they knew full well that their claims were entirely baseless because their own wrongfully obtained evidence proved that neither the alleged sexual harassment nor the accompanying smear campaign against Lively ever existed. Yet Blake moved forward with her plan with ruthless precision, doubling down in the face of abundant evidence, casting doubt on her story. Lively even went so far as to serve her lawsuit on the Los Angeles-based defendants as they evacuated their homes in the midst of devastating fires in their city. On a day when defendants were gathering their kids and pets, preparing go bags and monitoring evacuation orders while fearing for their homes, Blake, from the safetyness of her penthouse in New York, deployed process servers in the midst of these troubling times. She's just coming across so badly.
I don't, even to this point though, like why have they not hired a crisis team?
I know, because she thinks that she's in the right. I know. It says by bringing this complaint, plaintiff commits themselves to seeking and proving the facts based not on built from their selective, edited, and context-free text snippets, but by putting all the evidence before the court and the public. When plaintiff had their day in court, the jury will recognize that even the most powerful celebrity cannot bend the truth to their will.
Wow.
So he is just not playing at all. And he's pissed. They then talk about Justin.
I feel like he's sick of it. He's like, listen, I held my tongue for so long, and I'm not allowing this to happen to me.
They talk about, Justin Baldoni co-founding Wayfarer in 2019. Baldoni, whose film career was dedicated to producing and directing meaningful films to have a positive impact on the world, was deeply moved when he read the book It Ends With Us and genuinely believed he could make a film that could save lives. And then now we read the email from Justin Baldoni to Colleen Hoover, and the date is February 1st, 2019. So let's read this because this is interesting. It says, "Hello, Colleen. Thank you for the intro." And someone obviously got them together. Yeah, exactly. It says, "Wow, it's such a pleasure to meet you. And thank you for being open to me, potentially option of your book. Some quick backstory. My purpose and intention in this insane business are simple. Create impact by making content that helps us remember our shared humanity, content that asks us to be better, to make the hard choice in the moment that one day on our deathbeds we will be grateful for. It's been a tough road, but an incredible one, as our industry doesn't often reward those of us trying to change culture. Luckily, it's the messages of those that watch the content that are the reward and the lives we have affected. I've always believed the financial reward will come, but it's not the motivation. As Johanna may have told you, I am building and got funding for a company whose mission is to tell high-end, meaningful stories. And I just finished my first film with my second set up at WB going this fall based on the short doc I directed 7 years ago. Also, if you'd like to see an early screening of 5 Feet Apart, I'm sure I could make that happen as well. Where are you based? Of the reviews, I read this book. This one stood out to me and makes me so excited to potentially work with you. Your fans love you. What a gift you have. Then here's the review. It says, of all the heroines I've ever read, Lily was most certainly one of the ones I admired the most. I knew love from her first few pages, but having finished the book, I truly couldn't be prouder of her. Her strength and conviction over the course of the story made her into a heroine I want every girl and woman to read and look up to. She was so real and vulnerable. There's an incredible, powerful message in this book that is very subtle, woven in from the start. It begins in the first chapter, but you don't realize. Anyways, it's just basically, someone.
It's so crazy because he's like in love with Lily.
Yeah. And it says, please send over an ebook, but I also just purchased it on paperback as I like supporting authors. Looking forward, Justin. And then she responds and says, and then it says, and then here's another one from April 11, 2019. It says, I'm finally coming up from the release of the film, but still shooting Jane for another 2 weeks. By the way, were you able to see it? Would love to know your thoughts. We actually started filming the final episodes today. So crazy, so grateful. So I haven't been able to get It Ends With Us off my mind. Such an important story. So damn romantic and beautiful and tragic and hopeful. I always say that both in art and life, all the best stories are always two things at once. And this is so much more than what your book is. Joy and pain, love and sorrow. You did such a beautiful job of covering incredible, difficult subject matter and playing it out as a realistic, unforgettable way. But what I love the most is the opportunity to let so many women feel seen on the screen via the particular story. I can't even imagine how many women there are who are stuck in relationships like this and via the story could find the strength to create a better life for themselves and their children. There are so many opportunities to partner with organizations and create impact with a story like this. I love that you held nothing back from the pain of Lily and Ryle's past. And these are the kind of stories that change lives. On a separate note, the screenplay, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he says, let me know what you think. Much love, Justin. All right, let's read cancel Colleen's email, okay? So this
Dang. Here's about Colleen.
No, because I saw videos of how she treated Justin and how much she loved him prior to Blake. And the fact that she could switch that quick after seeing how he was around other people, it's so gross. It's so gross how power can sway people. But it says, thank you so much for the email. I wasn't expecting you to read it so quickly. I would love to talk with you more about this project. You get the book, and that's the most important thing to me. My big fear is that it'll option it to someone who thinks it's a hot romance, and they'll take it in the absolute wrong direction. Are you fucking kidding me right now? That's literally Blake Lively, the person who you stood by. And then she says, I'm going to be upfront with you about a couple of things so you can decide if you want to move forward. I've sold several film options and I realize not all of them get made, and I'm okay with that. One of the film options was not a great experience. The producer started a fundraising campaign for the film without my knowledge or permission and ended up taking over $100,000 from my readers. The film was never made. My option was never paid, and I ended up pulling the plug on the project, and the producers never refunded readers their money. I felt terrible that my readers were the ones punished, so I mailed out $15,000 worth of free products to those who donated to the campaign. I want to be positive that crowdsourcing is not something that would be done. While the experience wasn't a positive one, I had a wonderful experience working with a producer on Confess. It was a 7-episode series that was picked up by Ostrich. I've never heard of any of this shit.
Yeah, wait, let me even Google Confess because I read a lot of
Confess, a 7-episode series picked up by Ostrich and Geo90. And it says, luckily my readers got to watch it. Oh, it says that just a week before they were scheduled, I guess it didn't end up coming out. And it says their readers were able to see it though. And it says, It Ends With Us is important to me, though. I would love more involvement on this film. I've actually been working on a script for it already, along with a producer, friend of mine who lives in LA. Her name is Blah, and she's a very dear friend of mine. Are you based out of Los Angeles? Maybe we can meet and have a chat about our vision for the film. Make sure we're on the same page. I'm based out of Texas, but I live in LA a lot. Other than ensuring my readers won't be asked to donate the fundraising for a film and hoping to have more involvement in the process when it comes to the script and production, I don't really have any other requests. I realize your experience with film far outweighs mine, and based on the magnificent adaptation you did of 5 Feet Apart, I'm confident you could do this book and our visions will align. I watched this film 2 nights ago and immediately started the book yesterday, something I like to do backwards. I think you did a wonderful job, and even though I'm not finished with the book yet, I felt like the essence of it was captured beautifully through film. I wrote a book where one of the characters suffers. And then she just, okay, that's enough rambling. I really do appreciate the email and you taking the time. Did you happen to read the author's note at the end? I feel good about this, though. I feel good about you. I've seen your past work, your passion, and your love for humanity. And I honestly feel there's no one better for this project. Before I direct you to my agent, I just want to get some thoughts on the above. Thank you so much, Justin. I hope you were able to get some vacation time in. So what do we think about that, Chantel?
Well, I'm just kind of actually shocked that like she said that like a lot of people have came to her and she sold her movies because she has so many good books, and like the fact that this was the first one to be really adapted to a movie is just crazy.
Yeah,
But
and
it shows that she trusts him, and she actually cared to like watch the movie that he did, and it looks like it's a great start.
she does end up emailing him the next day, and she says, "Have you given any thought to whether you would want an acting role in this? Say maybe Ryle. I could see it."
Wow.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It says soon after Wayfarer partnered with Sony to co-finance and distribute the film, their agreement included at Wayfarer and Baldoni's insistence that the provision was a deal breaker. So they had to agree to this, that a requirement that 1% of the film's proceeds be donated in support of survivors of domestic abuse. That 1% was ultimately earmarked for the organization No More, with which Baldoni had sought to partner with as early as September 22. This guy is amazing, dude. This guy is literally amazing. The fact that he even did that and said that if I will not sign with you guys unless you guys agree to this, I mean, what more do you want?
Okay. And like you guys think about it, right now I just Googled how much the movie made, and it said 350 million, let's say estimate. And then we take that divided by or times it by 1%. Yeah, that's 3 million to another organization. That's amazing.
Right, exactly.
$3 million to an organization.
Yeah. And it says in casting Blake Lively, a world-renowned actor with talent and charisma in the leading role, they entrusted her with a vision to bring Lily to life. Although Wayfarer learned that Lively had a reputation for being difficult to work with, Justin at the time was, I guess he found her to be genuine. And it says stunningly later in the process, Lively refused the opportunity to meet with No More, despite playing the lead role in a movie centered on themes of survival and resilience in the face of domestic abuse. So
that would have been my red flag right there. I'd been like, no.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
serious.
but it says later in the process. So here they are, and they're giving proceeds to this survivors of domestic abuse, and Blake Lively is refusing to meet with them. She did not care about the victims in this movie. She really did just care about this like floral bullshit. It says during pre-production, Baldoni and Lively began a promising and close collaboration on or about December 31st, 2022. Lively agreed to take the lead role of Lily Bloom. As part of the negotiations, Blake was granted an executive producer credit, a title often given to talent of her stature. Lively had requested a producer credit, but Wayfarer and Sony demurred, given that such a title would not accurately reflect the role she was asked to play in production. Wayfarer did not request nor require that Lively contribute to the film in any capacity beyond her role as an actor and an executive producer. So they make that very clear. And it says, in the beginning, it appeared that Justin and Blake would have a positive, collaborative, creative partnership. Justin and Blake worked closely in the early days of the film, trading ideas about film roles in the film's cast and crew. Their working relationship grew close. Baldoni and Lively shared stories and pictures from their lives over family illnesses, exchanged jokes and memes. Baldoni offered concern and support when Blake's family faced a health concern. They texted almost daily, and a friendly banter established a comfortable dynamic that under typical circumstances would have made working together easy. It sounds like she got him to feel comfortable where they could banter with each other, but she made it like she was basically uncomfortable with everything.
Yeah.
It says Lively even felt comfortable enough to make silly jokes, redirecting a sweet compliment Justin Baldoni gave. So here we have a text message from May of 2023 where he says, well played. And Blake says, this is May 11th. It says, I feel the same. It's such a good feeling to get to work or to get work done that we're proud of and to do it together. It just clicks when we find it. And that's just as rewarding as filming it or editing it or marketing it or releasing it. This is all storytelling. This is why we do it. Thank you for your collaboration. I'm really proud of what we're doing. And he loved what she said. And he's like, I like sentimental Blake. And then
God, this is a text. This is a text.
Yes. And then Blake says, never met her. And Justin says, I also like asshole Blake. Don't worry. Okay, good night. She's like, I've met her. So have my, what is this word? Suppositories.
Yeah. So, yep. You just said it right.
Yeah. And then she said, good night. And he just laughed at it. And all right, what do you think about this text?
Okay. So I'm biased because like what I was watching is that First of all, Roxanne, read what time the text was.
Okay.
It was late at night, you guys. Okay, I'm like setting the scene. It was literally like I think 2 a.m. It was like 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. or something. It's late at night. They're texting each other these things. They're saying I like this Blake, and she's like, those are my suppositories, whatever.
Are we sure it's 2 a.m.?
Yes. It was in there, or it was 11 p.m. 11 p.m. or 2 a.m. I don't know because of the time difference or something.
What if it was 2:46 p.m.? Oh,
no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
You're saying okay, good night. Okay.
Yeah, a.m. It was 2 something a.m. Okay. And like the way that it was, it's almost like underlying flirting from both of them, honestly, like where they're just like giving out compliments late at night. It's just weird. It was weird. It's like they clearly are very friendly. And if you're feeling uncomfortable with somebody throughout this filming, why are you texting him like that? And vice versa. If like any of them felt uncomfortable, those are not the texts that you would have to each other at 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he felt uncomfortable. I think that
no, I'm saying her, mostly her. She's the one that's claiming these things, you know? So like if there was any sort of uncomfortability with her, why are you texting him late at night saying, I've met her, I like her, or like talking about suppositories? I think people said like the word suppositories is something that's like flirty too. Let's look that up.
Is it flirty? That's so interesting. I don't know if it is. It says almost, well, you can let me know, but it says almost immediately Blake began inserting herself into the production process in intrusive ways well beyond the scope of her contract. For example, Blake started to insist on creative control over her character's wardrobe. While lead actors are sometimes granted approval over their character's general look, they generally do not receive full control over wardrobe decision without input from the director or producers. What may seem like an request can in fact have monumental impact on a film's production. Ignoring the director's vision for a character of the weeks of effort and creativity spent by the wardrobe's team on shopping and carefully crafting her wardrobe, Blake sent hundreds of images to the film's costume designer, including into the late hours of the evening, saying what style of wardrobe she wanted for her character. The costume designer had to reshop Blake's wardrobe, far exceeding the allocated budget, time, and resources, while also preparing wardrobes for the rest of the cast. At one point, Blake insisted that her character had money and could afford $5,000 shoes, despite being a fledgling small business owner. This forced
a flower shop owner.
Yeah, it says fledgling.
No, I'm just saying, like, she owned a flower
shop.
Yeah.
And it made no sense when I was watching the movie. I was like, bro, what if there's no way you just opened this. It says it forced Baldoni to rethink the entire script that had been in works for well over a year and was approved by both Sony and Wayfarer, a script that Wayfarer had commissioned multiple drafts of and incorporated countless notes, including input from the book's author, Colleen Hoover. The wardrobe budget ballooned. And then it says, it basically says they then talk about how Blake Lively refused to participate in wardrobe fittings, even though she lived 15 minutes away, and she made the costume department pack up wardrobe, deliver it to her home. What's interesting is that they wrote how much that cost and said requests of this nature are typically made during contract negotiations. Since Blake never made a request at the time, this added expense that was not included in the budget. Blake, who had a greater obligation to the studios as an executive producer, paid no mind to budget constraints, let alone to the months of planning that had already been completed. And then
we talk about this, like a budget's a big deal. Like a budget is something that, like, right now, like, let's say he wanted to go and do another movie, they would say, like, do you stick to your budget? And like, you have to say yes or no. And like, you have to show that thing. That's like, that's all they care about, is to make money.
Yeah, they then talk about the first day of Blake Lively filming and paparazzi capturing and publishing photos of her character wearing her hand-picked wardrobe. This sparked backlash from Sony, who received direct criticism from Sony. So Justin received it directly. Sony reaches out to him. And so Justin approaches Blake at her trailer. And when he talks about the backlash over her wardrobe that was caught by paparazzi, again, he did that because Sony had warned him that he needs to figure this out. So when he spoke with Blake, he suggested, so I guess apparently Blake, when he was like venting to her about this or saying, hey, we need to rethink this, she suggests that Sony was gaslighting him and gaslighting another producer and saying that's not the case at all and that he's being gaslit by Sony.
Oh my God.
Which is kind of like, are you okay? Are you on track? Because and it sounds
clearly, it shows that she gets her ways with things. You guys. That's it.
Well, I think this is a young director who you could look at his Instagram. He works out. He's like a normal director. So just someone that you could probably take advantage of. And he's a people pleaser. So again, there's so many people like that. You give them an inch, they give you, they take it all. So, yeah. It says, as another example, early in the pre-production stage, Blake sent Justin a long text describing how directors never permitted her to write scenes for the movies she acted in, nor gave her writing credits, even making her hand scribble her suggestions for lines so that they could not be traced to her. Blake boasted that she had even written for her husband's movies. Then Lively asked if she could just take a pass at writing the rooftop scene in It Ends With Us, in which the characters Ryle and Lily first meet. This pivotal scene, much beloved by book fans, was critical for setting the tone for the movie. So Justin was reluctant to allow an actor rather than a union screenwriter to rewrite this key scene. But Justin felt the need to allow Lively to rewrite the scene and agreed to take a look at what she put together. The draft of the rooftop scene that Lively sent Justin dramatically differed from what he had written originally, and Justin was hesitant about many of the changes, but thanked Lively for her passion, told her that the scene would likely end up being somewhere between the original version and Lively's version. Chantal, what was like the difference in the book of that scene?
I feel like it was a lot more humor in the movie than it was in the real scene, because that night he
Wait, so you're saying in the book there was more humor?
No, more humor in the movie.
Yeah, like her laughing throughout it. I was so scared. I was like, what is she laughing about? Every second when she was laughing, I'm like, is she okay?
Yeah, because that was a big day. Like, that was like a very crazy day for him. And he was like, pissed. He's like throwing something, and that's how she heard him. And like, it was like a sad day for him. I forgot what happened. I don't know why I'm blanking on it. But yeah, I felt like it was a lot more funny in the movie than it should have been.
Well, so apparently when Justin tells Blake,
also like it is the moment that like they kind of like, like each other.
Yeah. Well, so when Justin told Blake, hey, we're going to keep it in the middle. Like, thank you for writing this. It's great. We're going to keep it in the middle of like what my vision was, your vision was. Apparently, when he did this, Blake did not respond and went silent for multiple days. Later, she confirmed in a text message below that Justin's response, of course, didn't feel great for her or another mega celebrity friend in Ryan Reynolds. To have my passion praised instead of my specific contribution is what she said. Lively was referring to an earlier meeting where Blake summoned Justin to her New York City penthouse, where Justin was greeted by Ryan, who launched into enthusiastic praise for Blake's version of the scene. Hours later, as the meeting was ending, a famous and famously close friend of Ryan and Blake walked into the room and began praising Blake Lively's script. Justin understood the subtext. He needed to comply with Blake's direction for the script. Later, Justin felt he had to go and text Blake to say that he had liked her pages and hadn't need Ryan and her mega celebrity friend to pressure him. Lively responded that the two were her dragons. Blake went on to say, this is by far the most fucking embarrassing thing that this whole thing. This is what Blake Lively says to Justin. She says, Reynolds and okay, well, we'll actually get her whole text message. Let me just see if I can find the text. Well, okay. So it says, they also know I'm not always good at making sure I'm seen and utilized for fear of threatening egos or fear of affecting the ease of the process. They don't give a shit about that. And because of that, everyone listens to them with immense respect and enthusiasm. So I guess I have to stop worrying about people liking me. I don't know. And then she put like an I don't know emoji. And it said this message could have not been clearer. Justin was not dealing with just Blake. He was also facing Lively's dragons, two of the most influential and wealthy celebrities in the world who were not afraid to make things very difficult for him. And then it says, there's a text with Blake, and it says, if you send me the FDX, I'll work when I can steal moments. And yes, of course, please send to Christy. We're all on the same team with the same goal. Justin says, great. Also was working on the rooftop scene today. I really love what you did. So this is him showing how he responded to it. And he says, also working on the rooftop scene. I really love what you did. It really does help a lot. Makes it so much more fun and interesting. And I would have felt that way without Ryan and Taylor. You really are a talent across the board. Really excited and grateful to do this together. So the mega celebrity was Taylor. And she says, that's very appreciated. It means a lot. I'm deeply inspired by the film we're going to make outside of the success of this book. We have such an opportunity to not only surprise people who love the book, but reach an even bigger audience by making an undeniable, dynamic, and also commercial film. The moment that excited me the most the other day was when you said, you're not funny. You are going to kill that rooftop scene. You know it, I'm sure. Even though it was said in a playful self-deprecation that we all participate in, it made me think of the process as a whole. Please know that I trust that on the day you got me, and I hope that you trust that I've got you if you want it. We're in this together, and we are two of the most determined people I know. We also have very high bars set for ourselves. To collaborate with the type of partner is a gift that neither of us will squander because we both care too much about the result and also the experience. I have no motives except for you to win. As a director, as an actor, as a studio, as a writer. If you win, I win. If you win, our movie wins. We are aligned, and I will bring everything I have to this. Thoughts on the text? Oh, and then she says, no, this we did. She goes, as for Taylor and Ryan and blank for that matter, I'm the luckiest mother effer on the planet to have them as my dance mom's level stage mom. They are embarrassingly effusive. That said, they also are my most trusted partners and the people I go to first with anything creative I touch. And I'm the person they each go to first. You're embarrassing. Yeah, right. Yeah. Taylor Swift is coming to you, Blake Lively. That creativity and support has been one of my life's greatest and most fulfilling gifts. When they loved and signed off on the pages, I felt good to send them to you. They asked what you thought specifically after. Like, shut up. They checked in so many times. I told them
if like someone texted me that, and especially knowing Taylor, who's like a great writer, and I'm sure whatever Ryan's done, like that is such a big move of manipulation. Like I would then feel like, okay, if Ryan is agreeing to this and Taylor's agreeing to this, like maybe I should be the one to agree to this. Like, why am I not agreeing to this?
Well, she keeps going on. She's like, they checked on me so many times. I told them that you laughed a bunch and said it's probably a blend, but you appreciate my passion so much. So at this point, when she said the laughing, she is feeling like he's like talking down to her, or maybe thinks of her, when he laughed, he like, how would you describe it, Chantal? He looked at her as like a joke. That's probably how she's very sensitive. That's probably how she took it, which is so funny that she's sensitive because her and her husband don't shut the hell up about joking about everything.
They're so sarcastic, but it's funny how she kept bringing it in. Like they're checking up on me. Like, why does it have to do with Taylor and Ryan?
Yeah.
Like, what does it have to do with like
you said, the manipulation where they keep asking. And I'm sure Taylor's reading this like, don't bring me in your fucking mess. And why'd you exaggerate? I never asked you. You brought it up to me. And I just said, did he ever ask?
Yeah. Like
that's what Taylor's thinking.
And like, at the end of the day, Taylor's just being a good friend. Like, hey, did you get the thing? Cause like if a friend came to me and asked me for help on something, sorry. Like, let's say Roxanne's like to me, hey, can you help me edit my resume? This is what I have. And I was like, oh, you did such a good job. I don't think I need to really edit anymore. Good luck on your like job hunt. I would then text Roxanne and be like, hey, did you get the job?
Yeah, which I get. But this is, to me, the biggest red flag is when she says they checked in so many times. I told them that you laughed, which of course didn't feel great for me or them. Okay, why are we talking about them? Why no one cares how they felt about it? To have my passion be praised,
not their movie.
Yeah. And it says to have my passion be praised instead of any specific contribution, or even just that you didn't like the pages, which was fine also. So I think they want, again, she's still talking about them. We don't give a fuck about them. She says, so I think they wanted you and me to see how they felt about the work because they've been by my side. Because obviously they were hyping the hell out of that scene to her, which we find out Ryan Reynolds wrote. So here she is fighting for Ryan Reynolds scene. So they were obviously being very aggressive. She's basically explaining why it was. And she says to see how they felt because they've been by my side for far too many experiences where I've been overlooked. You're a C-list actress. Get over it. This is part of the job. She's
like, why is it his problem that you've been overlooked on other jobs? Like, why is it like, why are you making him feel bad?
Well, the one person who wants to be collaborative with you, who's being nice to you, that's the one you're going to F over.
Yeah,
like, come on. Yeah. She goes, I spoke to you about this when we first met. They've watched me handwrite scripts because the director is too afraid to send the FDX file. Exactly. Directors don't send that. She's like, yet he scans and has something hand type all 120 pages of my pencil rewrites. They've watched me be hired as a writer and paid a significant fee for it, but on the condition that I never ask for credit, which I could give a shit about. Clearly you give a shit about it. It's more the principle of the dynamic at play. They've watched the other side of it too, where I'm told as signing that I wanted as a true collaborator, but once we get to work, I'm really just wanted as a yes man audience and actor. Again, she got all this with Justin, and now she's putting a sexual harassment claim against him and trying to ruin and destroy his reputation. She says both Ryan and Taylor have established themselves as absolute titans as writers and storytellers outside of their primary gig, just singing or just acting or just directing. Chantel, do you know how embarrassed I would be if I knew my best friend Taylor was going to see this? Do you know how embarrassed? Like the amount of like times I'm throwing out that I'm best friends with Taylor and that this is how Taylor feels because I know that Taylor's an A-lister and I'm using her to get what I want. You know how embarrassed I would be? She's like, I'm so lucky to have them as a creative barometers, but also to have them as the people who prop me up and make sure I'm seen for all I can and do and offer, because they know firsthand all I contribute. They also know I'm not always as good at making sure I've seen and utilized for fear of threatening egos or fear of affecting the ease of the process. They don't give a shit about that. And because of that, everyone listens to them with immense respect and enthusiasm. So I guess I have to stop worrying about people liking me. And then she puts the, I don't know, emoji. Why are we writing this much in a text message?
And good for you. Like, then go write your own book. Go write your own thing if you're such a good writer and they have such faith in you.
Yeah, but why are we writing this much in a text? Then she proceeds to say, if you ever get around to watching Game of Thrones, you'll appreciate that I'm Khaleesi. How do you say her name, Chantal?
Khaleesi.
Yeah, Khaleesi, and like her, I happen to have a few dragons, for better or for worse, but usually for better, because my dragons also protect those
I never read any of these ones.
Yeah, and she's like, so really, we all benefit from these gorgeous monsters of mine. You will too, I can promise you. You guys, when she says, we all benefit from these gorgeous monsters of mine, we all benefit from the Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift. You will too, I can promise you. She is trying to use them to get what she wants, like they can help Justin with something.
You know what's really funny is that I'm pretty sure it was Deadpool too, that Taylor wrote a really nice like post for everyone to go like watch it or something, because like of a Hugh Jackman too.
I remember.
Yeah, and like it was wild that she'd even do that for this
It ends with us. Yeah, something that
if you had so much contributions and she's helped you out so many times, why wouldn't she sit there and prop you out on it?
It's weird. Blake Lively loved the attention she was getting because she was like, oh, wow, people really do love this movie. I never realized people were really fans of this book. Like, I never knew that. And so
when they were filming.
So she did not want this movie almost to be successful. And when it was getting successful, she started enjoying that part and then talking about like what she's wearing and her hair care line and all this stuff, but she never cared about anything. So in his lawsuit, it says difficult proved to be a gross understatement. Though Justin initially invited Blake to make changes to the script, Blake began altering the script daily. So she definitely manipulated him so that he would do things like that. And then she finally gets the respect that she says other directors don't give her. And then look what she does to him.
I'm so mad that he just didn't put his foot down. But we can't blame him. But I am mad that he just wasn't like an asshole like other directors are.
I know. It says the frequency of Blake's revisions alarmed the producers, directors, and studio, who anticipated that her interference would persist every day of the shoot and disrupt the carefully planned production schedule. Each shooting day was scheduled long in advance, and Blake's constant changes placed significant stress on the production crew, not to mention financial strain on Wayfarer. So here's a producer and they say, are you listening to this? She's fixing the script. I think Angie's advice was actually wrong. Blake is now directing the movie. This is bad. And then James Heath says, I'm listening. Talking through it is better than not. Seeing what's possible. As long as any decision is done with approval. The producer says, not for something that was already intimately planned. This will be every day of the shoot. And then James Heath says, I know, I'm not sure what can be done, honestly, at this point in terms of Blake. So Blake Lively, so then they say like Blake Lively was aware that Justin Baldoni wasn't initially on board with the rooftop scene that, you know, we talked about. And despite his reservations, they say that she used her influence to ensure it made it into the script. Over a year later, during the red carpet interview at the New York film premiere, Blake revealed the iconic rooftop scene. And was she calling the book part of it iconic or her scene iconic?
Yeah, probably her scene at this point.
Yeah. She's like, the iconic rooftop scene, my husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but you do now. Like, how can you have the balls to say that after you're fighting about the scene with him? And
you knew that was and like you knew that was a scene that he didn't even want to put what you wrote.
And then for her to say this, then you go back and you read this text and you're like, well, if Ryan wrote this, then Ryan was never sitting there checking on it for you. He was checking on it for him. And Taylor probably never checked on it because you didn't write it. I don't know. They then talk about the screenwriter incident, how the screenwriter learned during press and then says this was also the first time that, we heard about this and, we all thought that Ryan Reynolds had no formal role whatsoever in the film's production. And we had no idea that he made unauthorized changes to the script in secret. They say that Justin was blindsided by this news, which he discovered in real time during a recorded interview with Access Hollywood. And he reacted by also praising Ryan Reynolds so that he would not harm Blake or Ryan, who apparently wrote the scene, and possibly others during the writer strike or the film. Sony was not happy about this, by the way. They were not happy at all. So here's an email from Sony, and it says, subject, it ends with us, Ryan Reynolds writing issue. And it's from Sony Legal. And it says, hi, we certainly need some clarity on public comments made about Ryan Reynolds potentially contributing writing services for the rooftop scene. Can you provide additional information on this, as there are no contracts? His services are not in the chain, nor his name anywhere in the credits. One of the many media reports which cite this claim made by Blake Lively, then they send the link of her talking about it. And they say, thanks for clarifying. If services were rendered, obviously we require signed documentation immediately.
Yeah, because then that means like at any moment, like let's say the whole movie was done and they didn't have the write-off from Ryan, and Ryan's like, you guys can't use that scene. They would have to go back and redo that scene. And then what if she didn't want to at that point? Like the whole movie could have been done for.
It says that, and then it says, hello, your email was shared with me by blank in order to address this issue. We are not aware of any writing services rendered by Ryan Reynolds. Regardless of what is being said publicly, this is not something we are aware of. We are learning about these allegations in real time. Please let us know if you have questions. It's crazy because Justin's company could get in a lot of trouble. And here's Blake throwing him under the bus and she's not dumb. She knows that they can get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It says still during the pre-production phase, Blake and Ryan raised entirely false allegations of fat shaming against Justin, an accusation that, as evidence will show, was false. Justin had been introduced to trainer Don, who became Justin's personal trainer by Blake. Don directed Justin's preparation for the film role, including his nutrition and exercise, making special accommodations for Justin's back injury. Justin even paid to receive Don's meal delivery service. Like, here he is supporting these people. Like, oh, you have a meal service? I'll do that with you too. Like, really supporting these people. And they're all shitting on his life because he's nice. So here are the text messages between Justin and Don. Okay. And it says, okay, speak later today. I can get you a program this week. This is from Don. He says, sure, just got to New York City for the day. And then he tried to call him. He said, hey, bud, I tried you. And then Don says, call you in a few. And they said, cool, standing by. And then it says, here are the 4 things that you have to focus on. The jumps are to be low intensity, and this is to improve performance. Go 50% intensity for the first few weeks. Let's sub the dead stop rows for chest supported rows. Stay out of lumbar extension. Your low back should not arch. Week 1 should be 70% intensity. Do not push and add the cardio like we discussed. Let's jump on the call. And then it says that privately, Justin reached out to Don as his personal trainer to ask what Blake weighed so that he could train his back muscles in preparation for a lift scene. This was important to avoid injury, not only to Justin, who suffered from lifelong back injuries, multiple bulging disc, and chronic pain, but also to Blake if the lift could not be completed successfully and safely. Now, Blake's recent attempts to deny the existence of any scene, it was only nixed at her insistence after having been planned and rehearsed. The next morning, Justin was summoned to the penthouse by Blake and greeted by Ryan, who swore at Baldoni and accused him of fat shaming his wife. How dare you fucking ask about my wife's weight? What is wrong with you?
Oh my gosh.
Yes. It says the confrontation from Ryan and Blake was so aggressive that Justin felt he had no choice but to offer repeated and completely unwarranted apologies. Because I would have done the same. I would have been like, "Oh my God, that's not at all what I was trying to do."
That's not what exactly. That's not what I meant to like I didn't mean to hurt her feelings by me asking about her weight, and it had nothing to do with her. It's not about Blake. It's about what I can carry.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, like in movies all the time, there's so many things about weight, hey, we want you to be this much, or we want you to, and then this wasn't even about that. This wasn't even about this. And it says, he apologized.
That Don person went and told them. Like,
loser.
That is, yeah.
And he apologized. I know I need to find that guy's Instagram and really from our page, because I'm not a troll. I actually comment off of my page and I go off.
Have you been commenting on Justin? Like, does Justin know that you support him?
I have no idea if he does, but I mean, we have commented on his page and it got a lot of action. So I'm sure he's seen it. But it says, he apologized in good faith. Reynolds demanded that Baldoni remove the scene entirely. Who the fuck are you, Ryan? Excuse my French, but like, who is Ryan to demand anything about a movie? He has nothing. He has no, what's so funny? A lot of people were like, just so you guys know, Ryan and Blake funded a lot of this movie. No, they did not.
Yeah.
Anyone who says that never happened. That was a bold-faced lie. That never, ever happened. And they probably put that rumor out there so that people could empathize with them. I don't know. It says Blake refused to perform the lift scene in the end, even after it was rehearsed with a stunt double. In her own complaint, Blake flat out lies about the absence of the scene by claiming the scene wasn't in the film. The only reason the scene wasn't in the film is because Blake and Ryan ensured it was taken out of the film. Accommodating Blake, Baldoni rewrote the scene with Blake, despite the fact, for creative reasons, this scene was important to him as a storyteller and director. In fact, Blake had earlier expressed insecurity about her postpartum figure, and Baldoni made every attempt to genuinely reassure her. In this exchange, he stated as a director that anything she feels insecure about, they will walk through and get creative together and make you comfortable. I don't want you to stress out about your body. Okay, so here are the texts. Okay, this was Blake saying, Chanel, can you see when Blake had her fourth baby?
Yeah.
Not like it matters. I mean, I'm just curious.
I believe it was like 2.5 months before filming. Let me see.
Okay, well, they started filming in May. So, because I will say her hormones are probably whack, but actually I could say her hormones were out of whack because mine were, but then the doubling down that's happened since, I'm like, no, you're just a fucking terrible person.
Yeah. So February 2nd. So it was like 12 weeks.
Okay. So February 2nd, 2023.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So then May of 2023. Yeah. So then they started filming in May, but then luckily, like they did have that, what is that called, Chantel? The strike. So she had months, but anyways, it says,
yeah, and it is crazy. I mean, like, not tell my body weight, like you really could see the difference too.
Oh, really? Yeah. I know I have to pay
Yeah, I
attention.
mean, like you could see some scenes like where, like, I mean, she's still a gray, but you see the difference.
She's had a baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
It says Blake says kicking ass, but it's still a ton of work with not a ton of time. What's the chance we can do body scenes at the end of the schedule? He's like, I'm sure you are. Honestly, there's 1 billion moving parts of schedule right now. I just turned in the rewrite, and so they are hard at work. So much of it comes down to locations and the other cast availability. So to be really honest, I have no clue. I want you to know you're going to look amazing. Anything you are insecure about, we'll talk through. We'll get creative together and make you comfortable. I just don't want you to stress about your body. It's the last thing you need. As soon as I have a rough schedule that's even remotely accurate, I'll share and I'll make sure the team keeps this in mind as well. Heart face. So of course, like Blake wasn't used to this type of shit where someone who's like so nice and empathetic and just, I get it. Like you just had a baby, like directors, especially like I feel like the older directors or the people
like, you need to lose weight. She's not.
Yeah.
She's not
like hey, you have 3 months to lose weight. This is part of it. Figure it out. Like they don't give a shit. And that's why she probably would stay silent. Then she says, okay, another long ass text from Blake. Okay, it says, thank you for your voice memo. It is deeply appreciated. You are everything you promised as a collaborator. Thank you. I know my job here, and this piece is a big part of my job here. We both understand the assignment as actors in the roles, but also as producers and also as marketers. We understand artistically, yes, but we get what we need to do in all aspects for this movie commercially. As woke as we both are and work to be, what does that mean? Like she's calling herself woke, like the woke of like, is that when people call themselves woke?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Okay. So as woke as we both.
I don't know like what she's trying to say.
Okay. Like so weird how like Hollywood tries to like focus on that. It says, as woke as we both are and work to be, this movie requires a certain aesthetic. It's part of the job that we both excitedly signed up for. I don't shy away from it because it's not problematic. It's the assignment. Like when someone is about to start an athletic event, it's their job to be in top shape. My husband and I both look at certain roles as athletic events. Okay. Good. And this is one of them. It's not always a part of the job, but on this one it is. And that's great. As much as I'd love to not think about it, that would be irresponsible and also impossible because it's unrealistic to not acknowledge what I need to do. So here he is making her feel better. And like, she's making it like, okay, but that's part of my job though. Like I need to focus on it. Okay, then fucking focus on it, girl. Like, what do you want him to say?
Then why was it a big deal? Like
right now, he said, if he responded, he's like, well, listen, this is part of your job. You need to get in shape. What would she do with that? So he responds and he's kind about it and says, we'll work together. And she's like, well, it's part of my job though. Like it's part of my job to look a certain certain way. So then, okay, then what the hell's the problem? Okay. She's like, this is my job here, and I meet my responsibilities with extreme work ethic. I look for solutions to achieve my high goals instead of lowering my goals. We all win when we're each firing at our highest capabilities, and you and I both are, and will continue. I just need as much time as possible because I just had my fourth baby. I understand that you'll never personally know all the nuances of the challenges unless you live this physical moment in time I'm in with this physical road ahead. You guys, she makes me want to pull my hair out. I've had 4 babies. I'll never speak like this to someone. Shut the hell up. We all know, like no one will ever understand. A man will never understand. They'll never understand. I don't know why you need to tell him this. Like he's agreeing with you. He's being supportive of you. Like, what is the problem? Yes, he has 2 children.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, because his wife doesn't try to explain it to him.
And his wife also has a thing for like breastfeeding. She has a business on that. And it says, so having your understanding and support to help me pull this off is critical. So now she's acting like, because he's saying, I don't want you to stress about it, that he's not supporting her. And it's like, you are damned if you do, damned if you don't. And she's like, and it's very, very appreciated, not just in my experience now, but also healing from experiences past. So thank you. We're going to kill it and be so fit. They have to Lola us to look less banging. Okay. What? You're so scary. What is wrong with you? Like, something is wrong with you. It says Blake. And by the way, if you guys are like, Roxanne, you are being so hard on her, I need you guys to go listen to our like 1 and 2. We did an episode of 1 and 2 together, and then our part 3, and then come back, and then you'll totally understand why I'm feeling this way. It says Blake then delivered an ultimatum. If Justin could not get on board with her work methods, he had 2 weeks to recast her. Oh, what? Okay. So in this ultimatum was a threat to destroy Justin's reputation and career. As Blake well knew, Justin had worked hard throughout his career to earn and deserve a reputation based on his passion for women's rights, a reputation she would later exploit and weaponize against him. If Blake were to back out of the film, especially based on accusations of fat shaming, Justin's reputation and life's work would be left in tatters. He had no choice but to bow down to Blake and Ryan's demands. Concerns about Blake's undue influence over the film began to grow even before filming started. So here's a producer, and the producer says he cannot let her have opinions on everything. And then Jamie Heath says, who, Blake? And producer says, or she's going to be co-directing this film. Yes. Jamie says, yeah, we were talking about that a lot yesterday. Producer says, exactly. This is why everyone is starting to lose it. We've been talking about the same thing for months. Jamie says, yep, it's starting to get resolved. Producer's like, no, it's not. Like, this is people that are there, not the actors who are impressed by Blake Lively, who's showing a different side. This is all the people on set. And it says this was the first time that Blake openly moved to seize control of the film from Justin, but it would not be the last. And it says filming begins as Blake builds her takeover strategy. So principal photography began for the film in early May of 2023. On set, Blake continued to maintain what later appeared to be facade. Oh my God. Did I say facade? I'm sorry, guys. Don't kill me. Of a close, caring relationship with Justin, even as she continued to make escalating demands for creative control. By the time production began, Blake and Justin had worked closely together for months and Lively expressed warm gratitude for her collaboration with Justin on the eve of filming. And here is Justin. It says, this note means so much to me. Or actually, this might be Blake. I don't know. Let's see. It says, I'm excited to start tomorrow, but it's only one piece of the journey we started months ago, and I'm grateful for all that we've built so far. Thank you for caring so much for and putting every bit of you into showing it. You have given so much of your time to fight for great, and that hasn't gone unappreciated or unseen for a moment. Let's do this. Oh, this was from Blake. What do you think about that, Chantal?
Yeah, it's like what she always keeps doing. Like, she like acts so positive, and then like she does shit behind the scenes.
Yeah. It says that throughout the first filming period, Blake continued to share her open and unguarded thoughts on life and her character. She then talked about wardrobe choices to make her life sexier. This is what she says. She says, we'll show you both ways, but the beanie sexier. All right, we already heard about the beanie being sexier. Then it says, Lively continued to express her warm appreciation and respect for Justin as filming continued. And Justin says, I'm not going to tell you that you were amazing because you teased me for being sentimental, but you were amazing today. So she makes fun of him for being too sentimental.
Yeah, like, it's so sad. It really is. Like, even if you are, I mean, I don't know. It's hard because like I'm a hard ass. So like I can see that, but it's like, why would you
Wait, so if we were hard ass and being like, okay, you're too much or you're so sentimental, we're not going to complain about someone like you. Okay. Exactly. We're not going to make it like you're the complete opposite. And she goes, thank you. I do appreciate it. I'm just a ball buster, but it means a lot to me. I care a great deal and always want to deliver. You were terrific.
Looks like you're the bully here. It looks like you're the one. You call yourself a ball buster. You call yourself an asshole.
Oh my gosh. It says like on a quote in section 8, it says Lively's use of the word ball buster would certainly have made it on her 17-point list had it been Baldoni who said it.
Exactly. Like you're literally like, you're the one that's being inappropriate.
Right.
Thank you for listening to part 1 of our deep dive discussing Justin Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit. Head back to All About TRH podcast to listen to part 2 and get Blake's response.